After 4 years of marriage, my relationship with Cindy was fraying. After constant fighting, boring romance, and extramarital affairs, we decided to give this marriage one last chance by consulting a professional. I wanted to make it work, not just for the sake of this marriage or love, but because Cindy was extremely wealthy and I am essentially living off her trust fund. Cindy had a few contacts and took me to a marriage counselor. We were confident that by going to the best marriage counselor in town, we could make this work. After speaking with us for hours, the counselor made her decision. She believes I am a misogynist and frequently dismisses Cindy and her emotions. To truly understand my partner's needs, I must put myself in her shoes. The counselor believes I have a terrible male ego. Regarding Cindy's readings, the counselor inquired about her extramarital affairs. Cindy cheated on me with men who were more caring, feminine, and aware of her needs. So, for the rest of the week, I'll have to understand Cindy's needs and do what she asks of me. We tried making it work, and I patiently tried to understand Cindy and her emotional needs. But within a couple of days, I lost my patience, and we ended up fighting like cats and dogs. The issues on surface were deep-rooted to my insecurity. The counselor believes that I need to step out of my comfort zone and try living Cindy's life, which meant household work such as cleaning, cooking, and laundry. Naturally, my male ego was hurt, and I tried resisting, which further proved the counselor's point. Over the next week, I swallowed my pride and focused on doing housework. Cindy even handed me her pink apron while I cooked a meal, looking at the cookbook. I did this without any complaints or major fights. Counselor saw it as a minor victory and suggested we keep going with higher stakes. I was enraged when she suggested that I try cross-dressing. She believes that wearing Cindy's feminine outfits will bring out the feminine side in me and help me control my ego. Cindy enthusiastically embraced this idea. Seeing me humiliated gives her great pleasure. I tried to protest, but she insisted that this was the only way to save our marriage. Non-compliance with counseling may result in a divorce in which I lose everything. I agreed to her ridiculous suggestion, and I could tell Cindy was overjoyed. Along with housework, I needed to make some subtle changes to accentuate my feminine side. Cindy discarded all of my aggressively macho t-shirts and replaced them with pastel-colored plain ones. For the next few days, I wore a pink t-shirt and white pants. I dismissed her morning routine suggestion. There was no way I was going to participate in her feminine routine, but given the sensitive nature of the situation and the counselor's advice, I gave in and sat beside her as she applied makeup and lipstick. I helplessly stared at her smirking face as she applied pink lipstick to my lips and blushed my cheeks with her foundation. Next, she applied her fake eyelashes and styled my brows, and finally a blonde wig completed my look for the day. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a freaky version of myself. Just when you think it can't get any worse, she hands me a razor and shaving cream to shave my entire body. I was completely hairless from head to toe, which emasculated me. She set out her pink baby doll nightgown and replaced my wardrobe with her lingerie and dresses. I was a completely different man during our next counseling session. I didn't argue, couldn't speak up, and appeared visibly humiliated as the two discussed the next course of action. She showed my photos of drag and makeup as the counselor praised my efforts. I hoped she would put an end to this, but she only made matters worse. She suggested that I continue my cross-dressing adventures for at least another 3 months. I could only nod in shame as Cindy took my hands and led me out of the office. I considered getting a divorce, but given the state of my bank account and the fact that I have no major degree, I need to stay with Cindy to keep a roof over my head. I went from spending all day making Instagram reels in my sports car and hanging out with my friends to spending the entire day in the kitchen, cooking meals while dressed up in a variety of outfits, complete with a glued wig and heavy makeup. Dressing up was one thing, but making sure no one noticed me was a completely different challenge. I frequently imitated a woman's voice to avoid raising suspicion in front of the delivery man or any random passerby. Cindy started working with her dad and frequently wore expensive suits to work. She was delighted to see me dressed in her nightgown, doing kitchen work and cleaning, and she frequently hugged me from behind like a man. My morning routine started with her dressing me up in her favorite outfit, doing my makeup, and leaving me with a list of chores around the house, including cooking duties. Every night, she taught me how to be more feminine. I tried walking in her heels, but it was extremely difficult. With my body squeezed in her tight black outfit and fishnet stockings, I could barely breathe and couldn't even take 2 steps in her heels without falling on my head. When Cindy had to leave for a business trip for a few days, I sighed with relief, knowing that this nightmare would be put on hold for a few days. But I was surprised when she introduced me to Ricky, her bisexual friend who would help me keep up with my cross-dressing. I couldn't believe I was about to share a house with another man and parade around in feminine outfits. With Cindy gone, my new routine began, with Ricky in charge of my cross-dressing. He was nice to me and patiently helped me as opposed to Cindy, who was constantly ordering me around. I felt at ease around him because he did not mock or enjoy watching me suffer in high heels and tight dresses. He even brought flowers for me, making me feel emotions I had never felt before. I tried not to think about it, instead accepting it as a kind gesture. We became close friends and he began to appear more frequently. After Cindy left, he was my only friend. I expected to return to my old clothes and live as a free man, but with Ricky around, I forgot about my freedom and focused solely on spending more time with him. I patiently waited for him to arrive every day, even calling him several times. Friends frequently call each other, nothing unusual about it. With him around, I could emotionally confide in him, something I couldn't do with Cindy. I expressed my dissatisfaction with being dressed up like a girl and feeling trapped in this marriage. I told him I was only in it for the money and fame. Cindy wasn't the love of my life. He gave me a warm hug and I cried in his arms, returning the embrace. Is this what Cindy wanted from me? Is this how it feels to be emotionally available to someone? Ricky stayed over that night, talked to me, and helped me figure out my life. We hugged again, and I am not sure what came over me. I simply leaned in for a kiss and he reciprocated by kissing me. After a night of passionate romance and waking up in his arms, I sobbed again and questioned my sexuality. He simply consoled me by admitting that he felt the same way years ago when he first came out as bisexual. It was Pride Month and he thought it would be the perfect time for me to come out as Stephanie, an extension of my given name, Stephen. I was nervous about going out in public dressed up like this for the first time, but Ricky was there for me and assured me that it would be the best thing that ever happened to me. And he was correct. I felt validated from the moment I nervously stepped into the parade, and Ricky holding my hands and introducing me as his girlfriend to his friends made me feel special, causing me to blush several times. I began going out every day and practically lived as Stephanie. Ricky took me to a club with his friends, and when Taylor Swift's "You Are in Love" began playing, I couldn't take my hands off him. When Cindy returned from her business trip, she found me sitting on Ricky's lap, sharing a romantic moment with him. I expected her to go crazy at the sight, but she just smiled and took a picture. In our next counseling session, I identified as Stephanie and told the truth. I was in love with Ricky. Cindy filed for divorce and I lost access to her trust fund. I was so in love with Ricky that I didn't care about the money and was excited to move in with my new love. He was so serious about me that he introduced me to his office co-workers and invited me to company events and often talked about how lucky he was to be with me. Cindy and I became girlfriends and she was the bridesmaid at my wedding. Who could have imagined my ex-wife would doll me up in a wedding gown and stand beside me as I read my vows and kiss my new husband? If you like this video, consider supporting me on Patreon for more videos, series and captions. Do stay till the end to see some extra concept images. Thank you.